Okay, I know what you're thinking, but don't eat me. I am just full of saturated fats.
You're doing something in your diet!
Hello, beautiful watchers, and welcome to this episode of Lost in Adaptation, coming to you from the digestive tract of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Admittedly not the most hospitable of settings, but quite fitting for today's subject, Jurassic Park. I've just got to figure out how to set up a green screen in here now. I've seen some films that run exactly parallel to the book, recreating everything exactly how it was described. And I've seen some films that simply borrowed the book's title and a few character names in order to gain attention and made no attempt to stay true to the story. The Jurassic Park film is neither of these things. It's definitely an adaptation of the book, all the main plot points and the general story made it through fine, but no one scene ever goes down quite the same way it did in the book with quite the same people. Not a single one. It almost felt like they were doing it on purpose, changing things on general principle, which is especially odd because the author, Michael Crichton, also wrote the screenplay for the film. But, like I said, it's still clearly an adaptation. The book and the film are telling the same story, there's no doubt about it. So, let's have a look at...
As I mentioned, all the main plot points are still there. A crazy billionaire and his genetics company cloned dinosaurs on an island in order to make an amusement park. People died due to underestimating the dinosaurs. The financial backers get nervous and ask for outside opinions. 2 paleontologists, a mathematician, and a lawyer are brought in along with the rich dude's grandchildren. A fat computer programmer disables the security systems in order to steal the company's secret, but dies escaping. The dinosaurs fuck shit up. Grant and the kids get stranded in the park. They eventually get everything back online, but the dinosaurs fuck more shit up anyway. The whole thing is a disaster, and everyone not eaten agrees it was a terrible idea from the start. The overarching message to not play God is prevalent in both versions, although the book actually makes the film seem subtle in comparison, starting with a long backstory about genetic research corporations running unchecked, unpoliced, and largely unopposed. A laughable concept now, of course. It doesn't stop there, though. For every speech Malcolm made in the film about the irresponsible use of science, he made at least 6 in the book. The sheer terror that the dinosaurs inspire in people is conveyed well in both, along with the constant comparisons to birds rather than reptiles.
Very good, but the next section is where the really interesting stuff lies, so let's move on to...
Grant liked children. That's a direct quote from the book. I had to go back and reread it several times to make sure my dyslexia wasn't acting up again. It's true, in the book, Dr. Grant got along great with children. He liked that they were often as equally excited about dinosaurs as he was, and he formed a friendly rapport with young Timmy as soon as he met him. Now, isn't that interesting? Spielberg and his boys looked at a story about the dangers of unsupervised runaway science and a thriller about a long-gone force of nature so powerful it was laughably beyond human ability to control it, and thought, it's good, but it needs a subplot about a man who doesn't like children having to look after some. Yeah, that's what was missing. Nailed it!
The film certainly mixes things up a bit when it comes to who died. Some people who were killed in the book survived to the end of the film, and some people who died horribly in the film survived to the end of the book with only minor injuries.
In the book, the staff of the park aren't evacuated when the storm comes, so most of them end up as lunch for either the T-Rex or the Raptors fairly quickly. Dr. Sattler and Dr. Grant aren't an item in the book. They have an entirely professional relationship. He's actually a widower, and she's engaged to some doctor not otherwise involved in the plot. As a result, Grant views everyone's attempts to hit on her with a mild, disinterested amusement. The big reveal of the dinosaurs, arguably the most iconic scene of the movie, went down a little differently in the novel. Okay, sure, in both of you possessed even the most basic reasoning skills, you already knew it was coming, but they never straight out say anything about bringing dinosaurs back to life in the film until this moment. However, in the book, it goes a little something like this.
So did you hear Hammond's been cloning dinosaurs on his island? Really? Yeah. Gosh.
Tim's character is mainly unchanged, but Lex is meant to be a lot younger and way more annoying. She shows a complete and unrealistic disinterest in the dinosaurs, and instead of talking about computers and attacking, her dialogue consists almost exclusively of, "I'm hungry, this is boring, I wanna go home, I'm tired." Thank fuck they changed that. I'm assuming Michael Crichton must have had a younger sister he despised in their childhood to write in such a negative take on a young girl. Donald Gennaro is given what I like to call the full asshole makeover. They take a character from the book who has some good points and some bad, just like a real person would, but only include the negative factors in the film. Gennaro wasn't the complete greedy douchebag he's portrayed as here. Sure, he was excited by the idea of all the money the park could make, and he refused to take a lot of the responsibility for his part in funding the park, therefore getting lots of people killed, but in the book he's also very concerned with the potential health and safety risks to people. He attempts to help out with the rescue missions, hunting the loose dinosaurs, and it wasn't even him who ran off and abandoned the kids. He inherited that sin from another character who wasn't even included in the film.
There was also a scene left out of the movie on the helicopter ride over where Gennaro talks about his wife and daughter. And how it's his daughter's birthday soon. And how he's throwing her a huge party.
Uncle the Don, when's Daddy coming home?
Oh, he's not, sweetie. He got eaten by a dinosaur. It was quite funny.
Malcolm didn't get mauled by the T-Rex trying to save the children. He was just running like buggery to try and save himself. The eyesight based on movement thing wasn't something Grant knew about beforehand. He realised it after the T-Rex ignored him while he was shitting his pants and frozen in fear. In the film, Hammond seems deathly aware of the seriousness of the situation, but in the book he goes into insane denial that anything was wrong, even as the body parts start piling up and his grandchildren can't be found. He's less of the well-intentioned but misguided kindly old eccentric, and more of a complete arsehole, which makes it a lot less upsetting at the end where he trips over and is eaten alive by tiny shit-eating scavenger dinosaurs.
If the T-Rex really can't see stationary objects, how come she doesn't walk into walls or off the edge of a cliff? It's amazing it took a meteor to finish those things off if you think about it. Sorry, quite off subject. Let's take a look at what didn't make it into the final cut. The first chapter of the book doesn't actually focus on anything that happens in the film. Instead, it covers the aftermath of several of the smaller dinosaurs having previously stowed away on the maintenance ship and wreaking havoc in a Costa Rica coastal town. It gets dark. Like, really dark.
There's a large section left out of the middle of the story where they actually get the whole park working again, and the staff go around tranquilizing all the dinosaurs and putting them back in their pens. During this time, Grant and the kids are still lost somewhere out on the island. They had just finished getting everything back to normal when it all went tits up again because of a small technical oversight. Grant and the wee ones' journey through Jurassic Park was even less fun for them in the book due to several stop-offs that didn't make it into the film, including being dive-bombed by pterodactyls, accidentally walking in on the Dilophosaur's mating dance, and sailing over a waterfall, which is bad enough by itself, for on the way down they see that the T-Rex is waiting for them at the bottom with her mouth open. Now that's just unlucky. Probably in an attempt to maintain the majesty of the dinosaurs, they left out the part where Muldoon gets shit-faced and runs around with a rocket launcher blowing the raptor's legs off. Grant also takes down 3 raptors by poisoning some delicious dinosaur eggs. Not as macho as a shotgun, but on the other hand, poison eggs don't jam after 4 ineffective shots, so, you know, scoreboard. There's a ticking clock element left out of the film. While on the tour, the gang watch a maintenance ship leave the island and notice several raptors stowing away in the stern. They realise they need to get the power back on in time to call the ship back before it reaches the mainland. They bugger off and leave the dinosaurs to it at the end of the film, but in the book, the military bombed the shit out of the whole island.
Don't feel bad for her. She tried to pull Tim into her mouth using her tongue.
In the epilogue of the book, it turns out an unknown number of an unknown species of dinosaurs may have successfully made it to the mainland after all, the lysine contingency utterly failing to stop them because it turns out they could get all the lysine they could ever need by eating soybeans and chickens. Damn it, Wu! All your plans suck! I'm almost glad you got eviscerated! Because of this, Grant and the other survivors are held indefinitely by the government in case they need their expertise in dealing with them.
The Don's final thoughts. While the film definitely took certain liberties with the characters, glorifying some and villainising others at will, it remains a little bizarre to me that there were no major changes but 10,000 little ones. Of course, no amount of straying from the book can ever change the fact that this film was a work of pure genius, the like of which only Steven Spielberg in his prime could deliver. So I think for me, what it boils down to is this. Who gives a fuck what they changed? Well, judging from the noises I'm hearing, the slightly crapper elements of my show are about to become slightly more literal than I would usually prefer. Oh well, Until next time, my beautiful watchers. It's in my ears. The film definitely took certain liberties with the characters, villainising some and heroicizing. I've invented a word, it is mine, you can't use it. A fun little tidbit, the book has illustrations. Isn't that cool? You don't get that a lot in novels. There's also, they don't have like the traditional book format. Sometimes they show you things the way that they're seeing them, like if you're looking at a computer screen.
I'm a pretty girl.